how to get a high quality rendered output of a cinematic scene from Unreal Engine. Okay, so in the lectures that I taught, so I personally taught you guys how to create a cinematic scene in Unreal Engine, and I taught it to you guys using the kind of the lowest quality, but it wasn't that low. Like, you can definitely get good renders using a JPG image. And the reason I taught you guys to do it with only JPG images is so that it would be easier for you guys to to convert the series of images or frames that you get into a video automatically. Now that method would not work for a PNG quality, and it is just for a JPG quality. But if you do want to go ahead and get a high quality rendered output for a cinematic scene, I'll definitely show you guys how you can get that as well. So I'll simply close all this up for now, and let me head over to my window, my cinematics, and my movie render queue. Again, I've already enabled the plugin for that. I think there should be a default level sequencer. Okay, so there is. And what I want to do now is, give me a second. There we go. So in the settings and in the unsaved config section, by default you've got your JPG option set, and JPG sequence is an 8-bit sequence, and it is also known to be a lossy compression value. And what we mean by lossy, so there are two categories. One is your lossless, and then you've got your lossy. So just from the definition itself, lossless means that there is no loss of the image quality throughout the rendering process, and lossy means that there is certain amount of frame drops throughout the process. So when selecting the type of export settings, JPG will give you a lossy drop, so there will be some loss in the frames. However, if you do want to get the best kind of quality, PNG is your most preferred quality, which is your 8-bit set compared to JPG. Even though they are both 8-bit, the main difference between JPG and a PNG sequence is that JPG will give you a lossy kind of output, whereas PNG will give you a lossless kind of output. So lossless, which means basically that your frames will not drop throughout your entire scenario. And even in the industry today, so virtual production industries, people mainly use PNG sequence, as you don't really aim to go for the best quality, but rather the quality that kind of gives you the best of both worlds, which is, and by best of both worlds I mean more on the efficiency side as well as the quality side. So that's why even in the industry standards, people use PNG sequence when rendering out their cinematic scenes in Unreal Engine. And I can just delete JPG for a second. Other settings you can add is anti-aliasing, and that should be pretty much it. Secondly, and after that you can definitely directly just accept these options, and then you can just render locally. But one thing that you'll note is that if you have watched the cinematic scene lectures, you will notice that when I did it with the JPG through all the various different types of plugins, we ended up with a video directly. However, there are some scenarios when we won't use a JPG sequence, but instead maybe a PNG sequence. You would not get a video output, but rather a series of frames, and those frames are basically each individual image that will kind of construct together to form your entire video. And in order to kind of use those set of images, you can't directly play it as a video. You would have to first take those set of images, and then you would have to add those images into a video editing software. Now I did try various different types of softwares in which you can get your PNG sequence very easily into a video editing software to kind of convert it into a video. But what I noticed is that the easiest one, which was Clipchamp, which is available on the Microsoft Store, easy and free to download, is that you can't basically select all the frames at once and just drag and drop it in. You would have to select each individual frame one by one, which kind of makes it a very tedious process to kind of complete. So an alternative and a very free solution that you guys can use is get your cinematic scene, add it in the level sequencer, add your camera rig rail, all that, make your setup, make sure you select PNG sequence, deferred rendering, anti-aliasing, except render it to your local. Get your set of images, and the application that you can use to kind of add these images all at once is DaVinci Resolve, which is definitely free and easy to use. It is definitely a very good software for kind of looking at the final output of your renderings. So remember to use PNG, which will give you a set of frames. You can add it in your video editing software, and that should solve your issue. Now if you still want to get the best quality, ignoring any kind of efficiency or anything, you can definitely go ahead and show and click on this option, which is your EXR sequence. So EXR sequence, as you can see, is a 16-bit sequence. So EXR will give you double the quality of your PNG or your JPG, and it will overall give you a better quality. So you can use that as well, and the same process works for converting it into a video. All right, so I think that covers the question on how to get the highest rendered quality of a cinematic scene from Unreal Engine.